Alright, so this is my review of the Mandalorian Episode 7. I believe it was called The Reckoning. So, Deborah Chow is back, and I gotta say, this episode was really good. Um, it did have some flaws, though. I like the fact that it opened up with Carl Weathers sort of making his giving the Mandalorian these difficult negotiations, and I don't know. I'm glad that he returned because I don't know. I didn't like the characters in the previous couple of episodes, but I like Carl Weathers. I like how I don't know. I like how in this episode, like in previous episodes, they were like sort of like adversaries, enemies, but they kind of recognized like a common enemy, and they kind of had to join forces. And I liked him in this one. Also, Cara Dune came back, and I didn't really like her in previous episodes. In this episode, she was kind of had the same cheesiness, the same like smirkiness, like the same need to remind everyone how tough she is constantly. Like when we first see her, she's in this bar fight. Like I guess people were betting on her fighting this wrestler guy, and they had this electrical chain tied to each other's belly buttons, like an umbilical cord, and they were punching each other. And like the first scene, this wrestler punches her in the face, and she like turns toward the camera, and she's got this goofy face on her, like goofy smile on her face, like and like she was having fun being punched. Because you gotta remind us that women are tough, and she was having a fun time being punched in the face. It was really stupid and awkward, and the fight in the bar just seemed so dumb. Like it just seemed like fake the way a bad wrestling match is fake. Like she was beating up this guy that was like much taller than her and much bigger, and she's doing her little crow's hop dance and laughing and smiling while she's getting the fuck beaten out of her. But and at no point did she have a cut on her face. She still had the same mascara, the same pancake makeup. I think they kind of made her a little bit sweatier, which at least was kind of good. But like she I don't know. She should have she should have been bleeding. I don't know. And anyway, she finally wins the fight. Like she manages to get this electrical chain and wrap it around Killer Cadogan's neck or whatever the hell his name was. And Killer and the bald wrestler guy, he looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin or something. But anyway, he was just choking, and his hands were just hanging lifelessly. Like at no point did he take his thumb and jam it in her eye. Did he grab her head and flip her over? Like he was big enough, he could have done it. He just went because he had to let the woman win because it's Disney and we gotta prove something. But you know, so Mandalorian comes back to the planet to get her to go on a mission, and I don't know. She still just seemed kind of smirky and didn't seem jaded, didn't seem hard bitten at all. Still had the mascara, the foundation makeup. I don't know. She wasn't very believable. But then as the episode progressed, she wasn't really that bad. Like they didn't really focus on her need to remind everybody that she's tough. She just they kind of fell into like a business manner. They had a job to do, and they were doing it, and I think Deborah Chow directed it well enough so that she seemed like she knew what she was doing. She was didn't really call attention to herself past that first fight scene. I don't know. She didn't really bother me after that one fight where it was just like, oh, yep, Cara Dune's a badass. Anyway, what else happened? So there was one scene where I don't want this to be like a review where I'm just recounting all the things that happened without having any new information or new insight or new commentary. But basically, Carl Weathers' character, I think his name's Grieve Karga. He proposed that they go on this mission where they kill Werner Herzog. And I guess the Imperials kind of took over that initial planet that the series started on, And so they were going on this mission, and it was kind of weird. Like there was this weird pterodactyl attack. Like they were camping around a fire, cooking some goats, and all of a sudden pterodactyls came, and I was like, "Whoa, are these Minox?" But they didn't look like Minox from Empire Strikes Back. They just looked like weird pterodactyl pterosaurs, and I thought it was kind of strange because like I would feel like if flying monsters lived on a planet, the sentient beings would deal with that somehow. It's just kind of strange. I mean, I guess you could go out into the wilderness. I've always heard people talk about how in World War II, the the Germans and the Russians had to form a temporary truce because wolves were coming and eating them, and they had to work. We got to kill these wolves, so they worked together for a while, killed a bunch of wolves, and then they went back to fighting. But I don't know. I felt like the the weird pterodactyl attack. It just seemed like that would be something that they would have to get under control. But I don't know. It's supposed to be a frontier town where the new republic. I guess it doesn't reach there because clearly in the episode the Imperials took over that town or that planet, and they started to reestablish themselves. Um, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it wasn't too crazy. Um, anyway, so the Mandalorian. Nick Nolte, the little Ugnaught guy whose name was Quill or something, or Queel, and Cara Dune went on a mission, and then they were gonna double cross the Imperials and kind of overthrow them or kill their plan was to overthrow the they were gonna kill the main guy so that all the Imperials. I believe they said once their paychecks stop coming, those Imperials will scatter. So they were like, let's just kill the big boss man, and then this whole operation will crumble. And it was kind of cool. Like it was kind of cool seeing biker scouts and stormtroopers again, and seeing the Imperials kind of reestablish themselves. Anyway, there was a big fight at the end. It was kind of a messy fight. Like it just seemed like there were a lot of zoomed in shots that you couldn't really tell what was going on. And then all of a sudden the good guys won the fight. But it turns out that the Imperials were much more organized and much stronger than we were previously led to believe, I think. And like they kind of ended on a cliffhanger. Like the heroes, they were not in good shape at the end of this episode, and I like that. It's kind of cool. There was this one scene where Baby Yoda used the Force again. I was gonna say magic. I guess it's the same thing. But Baby Yoda used the Force again. But this time he was like not really using the good side of the Force. He was also like they had to kind of reprimand him, like, no, don't do that. And it's kind of interesting because you think of Yoda as being like this powerful Jedi who was like on the light side and he was good, but then you see Baby Yoda just being affected by his own fear and anger, and it was like, oh, this species is affected by fear and anger too. Like, even though he's powerful, he has the impulses that a human would, where like we're tempted by fate and anger and all the weak emotions that drive you to the dark side. And Baby Yoda was being affected by that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I was complaining about Baby Yoda early on, saying that it almost seemed like he was too powerful, like he could use the Force. He could use the Force without much consequences. He does still pass out and go comatose for a little while after he uses the Force, which I like, and I like it even more that not only is he susceptible to the dark side, but he's not like he doesn't speak. He's not verbal, so it's like it's hard to communicate with him and sort of instruct him to go. It's almost like he's a baby and he's got Force powers to be either evil or good. And how do you influence him? How do you influence a baby? Like babies they're impulsive and selfish, I don't know. I like that quality of it. I like how Nick Nolte's Ugnaught character, Queel, and Cara Dune were kind of like bickering back and forth, and they both had their convictions, and they were both like entrenched. Like, I forget what Cara Dune was yelling about. She was yelling at Nick Nolte's Ugnaught because he had previous ties with the Empire, but Nick Nolte was firing back, and he was like, I didn't work for the Empire. I was a slave to the Empire, and I just liked the bickering and the exchanges between them. What else do I want to talk about? Is that it? I don't know. I liked how Baby Yoda. What they were talking about, how Baby Yoda was not a typical Yoda-like species. He was a genetically engineered Yoda species with alterations, and I like that because I thought they said Baby Yoda was 50 years old, but he was still a baby, and I thought that was kind of weird because like Yoda was 900 years old, and I was trying to like think, does the math work out? Like he's a baby for 50 years, and then like what, a teenager for several hundred years, and then middle age for a couple more hundred years, and then he's old by the time he gets to 900. Like I guess that works, but I don't know. There's certain things like language that don't seem like very complicated. A human baby can learn language. It doesn't seem like it's that. It doesn't seem like it's that complex. Like I feel like an alien creature like Yoda should be able to pick up language in 50 years, and I didn't like that. But then the fact that they said, "Oh, this Yoda is he's a genetic alteration of that species." Like who knows what they did to him? Maybe he's been a baby for 50 years because they did something to him to make him a baby for 50 years. I don't know. That it was just one of those creepy things. Like, what are these Imperials doing? These creeps. Why do they want a baby Yoda for 50 years? It's just like a mysterious, creepy thing. Anyway, I liked how they ended the episode in a cliffhanger where the good guys were just in bad shape. Like I don't want to spoil it, but things were not good. One of the main characters died, and I was just, oh no, they killed that person slash alien slash man slash woman slash other. Anyway, I like this episode. I feel like Dave Filoni and Deborah. All right, so my iPad kind of malfunctioned, and I lost the last part of the video, so I'm just doing it this way. Basically, what I was saying is that I like Deborah Chow and Dave Filoni, and I hope they get the lion's share of the direction for the rest of this series. And oh yeah, and I got to give this episode a grade. So I'm going with A minus because like it was a really good episode. The characters were, I like Werner Herzog. I like he's just the appropriate amount of he has the appropriate amount of ominousness. I like Carl Weathers. Like I like his shifty, double dealing negotiations and plans and schemes. I just like the characters a little bit more. Even though I didn't really like Cara Dune in the first half of the first maybe like, I don't know, 1/5 of the story, she wasn't too bad. I feel like I'm going to give this episode an A minus. So, alright, so thanks for watching. See you later.